Segment with the support of Nescafe, and indeed we're trying not to deal in too much madness this morning in relation to securities and all of the issues related to that element of the financial sector. But the Securities Market Bulletin, which was launched on Wednesday of last week, represents an important milestone for the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, in their journey towards the achievement of their strategic objectives. The bulletin will also allow interested market participants an opportunity to more effectively evaluate the risks and potential benefits associated with investing in security markets of Trinidad and Tobago. We have two guests who are going to give us some perspective on this bulletin, whether it will make a meaningful difference, or is it that you have basically the same big puppies doing all the trading, and the ordinary people just want to stay out of it because they feel they will lose their shirt or their pants or everything if they put all their money into it. We have with us Mr. Hadyn Gittens, who is the CEO of the Trinidad and Tobago Security Exchange Commission, and Dr. Earl Boodoo, who is the Manager of Policy, Research and Planning at the TTSEC. Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks very much for joining us. So, Mr. Gittens, the bulletin is out. What does that mean?
Well, it means that a fair amount of, and there was a soft launch of the bulletin approximately a year ago.
Right.
So the market is actually aware of the contents and the intent of the document. But essentially, the aim is to create and produce information about market risks and specifically about the interconnectedness within the market that may not be available to market participants and to investors. So I think the corollary would be, for instance, the central bank economic report, which gives broad information on industry statistics and trends. The aim is to produce similar information specifically focused on the securities market, i.e. on mutual fund developments, on over-the-counter transactions, on repurchase agreements, on the equities market generally, on the bonds, on government bonds in particular, trends with respect to growth, trends with respect to interconnectedness of parties, trends with respect to emerging risks, and so on.
And before we hear from Dr. Boodoo, how can you access this bulletin? Where is it available?
Well, the bulletin is actually available on our website.
www.ttsec.org.tt.
All right. And it is available now.
Right now.
From your perspective, Dr. Boodoo, just give me your sense as to why is this important? Why, at this time, as you mentioned, there was the soft launch a year ago. Mm-hmm. Has there been a lot of take-up? Did you get the sense that this was something that people see value in, and therefore it is something that the Security Exchange Commission is something that you all want to pursue to a greater degree?
Yes, and there are several perspectives that we can present which demonstrates the value of the market bulletin. One, you just have to put through your minds back to 2008 and 2009 when the global financial crash took place. To a large extent, the lack of knowledge about what was being marketed and what was being purchased significantly affected investors, and we know about the global impact. And then on the 30th of January 2009, we had our own financial impact, yes, where a conglomerate,
situation,
well, 4/5 of the GDP of the economy. Mm. When you look and you talk to investors, many of them were unaware of basic information. What were these securities they invested in? What were the risks involved? What we are trying to do here is to share information, give the characteristics of the securities market, tell them what type of risks that exists. So for instance, if you invested in a mutual fund, and this is really group funds, and the fund managers purchase securities and other things, then you must understand, well, it's quite possible that you may face foreign currency movement risks, you may face domestic interest rate risks, there are other risks. And if you know this, you're more informed, and therefore you're in a better position to determine, well, am I someone who can handle risk, or am I risk averse? and therefore you will be in a better position to determine, I will put my money there because I want a higher rate of return and I'm willing to accept the risk.
Yet, Dr. Boodoo, there will still be people who will remain highly suspicious of anything concerning the securities and risks and investments and so on, because they say, if all these big pappies in Wall Street could have pulled this off in 2008 and Lehman Brothers went belly up and all that sort of thing, me, the ordinary person in the street, I want to have nothing to do with this. Never mind what you say about this bulletin and so on. I rather stay away. What would you say to that person?
Well, what we will tell them is the Securities and Exchange Commission is much more than just providing warnings and providing information. We also look to see whether or not our registrants are abiding by the law. And Mr. Gittens could share with you many things that are happening now where we have particular matters under review. We brought up people. We are monitoring whether or not people are abiding by the letters, the contracts that they've signed, or what their registration requirements are. We have people under review. We have people that we are investigating, and we have people that we have in proceedings right now.
And Secretary, just on that point, I mean, and there's always an issue of resources and personnel to pursue various matters. And we are a small environment. We may not be the most mature market in securities and all of these sorts of things. But are you satisfied that the SEC is vibrant enough in dealing with these issues to the comfort of the average citizen?
Well, I mean, there's a saying that once you get satisfied, you get complacent. So there's always room for improvement. And we day by day strive to improve our responsiveness and our proactivity. That's for certain. Another aspect of sort of preventing and assisting the investor community lies with our outreach program, which we have a very, very active outreach program. You know, we focus on disclosure as an investor. And the aim is to ensure that investors are armed with all the required information to make a decision. We are not a merit-based. There's some regulators that focus on qualifying securities and making opinions on securities. We focus on disclosure, fullest disclosure. So someone, either with the help of an investment advisor, or if they have the expertise, can have all the information at hand to make a decision, and that's our area of focus. But to answer your question, there's always room for improvement as a regulator. As we get into these issues with people who contravene our laws, as you can imagine, and we get into the legalities, what happens is it gets complicated. Lawyers start you know, doing their jobs, and these matters tend to be extended and so on. We can't avoid that. As a regulator, we have to see it to the end, and that's basically our commitment to the investor community.
And the legal fees keep racking up as far as those particular matters are concerned. Before time runs out, Dr. Boodoo, you wanted to make a point.
And one of the things to really complement what Mr. Gittens was saying is that transparency is the bottom line here. And what do you want to achieve? Confidence is the lifeblood of the financial sector. Information engenders and nurtures confidence. And if you visit our website, you would find lots of information. And we love this program because we are allowed to tell the viewing public that you can get guidelines on setting up a prospectus if you are SME. If you are an investor, there's so many things and information on our website. You're a young person, you just got married, there's advice about what to look for, what types of investment to get into. If you're a more mature investor, there's a lot of guidelines, and the Market Bulletin provides you with so that you could sit down and get information that you previously didn't have. Transparency, the bottom line, and we're trying to engender confidence, which is the lifeblood of the financial sector. Time
is just about run out on us, gentlemen, but thanks very much for joining us this morning. But again, if you could just give us the website, just to remind those who might see this as an opportunity to get more information and create greater confidence in the environment, the website that people can go on to access the bulletin and information generally about the SEC.
It's www.ttsec.org.tt.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Mr. Gittens and Dr. Boodoo. We have a lot of ground to cover in a very busy second hour of Morning Edition. That's a bit of our business breakfast on this Monday. We'll be back right after this.